So this is why Mick Foley, in one of his last promos that he had on Raw in the lead up to this pay-per-view, was burying this storyline, like in overall, where he was basically saying, if you don't have a title or you haven't won a title in the last few months, you're nobody. Because everyone was winning titles, dropping titles. At one point in this storyline, Test was a tag team champion and he was the Intercontinental Champion. But by the time this match comes around, he's no longer a tag team champion, and they never say why he lost the tag team championships. But he was tag team champion with Booker T, who's in the main event. Yeah.
So they were the WCW tag team titles, presumably?
No, those are the WWF tag team titles. That the Hardy Boys then won. Yeah, well, that's it, because they were just swapping belts back and forth. But here we've got Edge as he's the US champion, isn't he? Because he won that from Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
And Test won the IC title from Edge, who previously had it, by having his foot on the ropes and cheating.
So the WWF guy, Edge, has the WCW US Championship. The Alliance guy, who really is a homegrown WWF guy, Test, has the WWF Championship.
Janet, when you're rubbing oil on my body, you gotta make sure all the oil is rubbed in, or the light out there doesn't catch my body the right way. And you can't see how truly defined I really am. You know what I mean?
Test, you are so right.
You know, Stace, I was thinking, tonight, after the Dudleys beat the Hardys, and I, of course, beat Edge, and we're all unified champions, I thought maybe we could all go out, and partay. And I thought, maybe later tonight, you and I can unite. Huh?
Maybe. Good luck.
Yeah, she wants me.
Hey, do you want to hear some good acting? We've got Test backstage.
How dare you? How dare you? This is great. Look, after two very quick matches to open the show with Christian and Al Snow, and of course Tajiri and Regal, I appreciated a lot how much time they gave the mid-card belt, because it wasn't just that video package and an actual story. We got like a backstage segment with Test and Stacy Keibler, which was funny. Had a bit. And then you got Edge having a promo, which was funny. He's a funny promo. And then you got a pretty decent match as well.
I really like the match.
I like the acting here. I think this is the exact pitch of acting that these sorts of storylines should go for. It's porn film acting is what it is.
Yeah. It is Test getting oiled up by Janet, the makeup lady. And he's like, hey, you need to put the oil on properly so you can see how jacked I am. And then Stacy walks up. She's no much better, really. She's like, hey, Test, I think after this match and tonight, we should get out. And then Test has my favorite line, which is like, we could all go out and partay.
Partay. Yeah, that was good. And then Stacy Keibler just pats him on the bum.
She doesn't pat him on the butt. She rubs her hand across his butt. Like, I thought, because she looks at his butt and then like goes to give it a tap, but instead she just sort of like gently like caresses her hand across it. And then he's just like, yeah, she wants me.
Sound like Matt Riddle. I thought this was delightful. So like the version of this today is just boring, unconvincing rubbish.
Oh, it's Angel Garza.
Yeah, it's Angel Garza.
Doing his flirting videos.
It's Angel Garza. It's Natalia and Liv Morgan backstage. That's what it is today. But back then, because the performers were allowed to have a bit more freedom, they're not good actors. They're wrestlers. No. They're not good actors. But they showed a lot more character. And look, we all know these bits were overly soap opera performed. And this is kind of the fitting style for it. It's not like they're doing some serious or emotionally sensitive story.
No.
It's, like I said, it's porno acting.
Well, Edge, tonight a true all-or-nothing scenario for you. On the one hand, if you defeat Test and become the unified champion, you'll be guaranteed of a job. But on the other hand, if you lose and the WWF loses, you'll be out of work.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. And on paper, it must seem pretty even. I mean, Tess and I are both tall, athletic, have long blonde hair, and pretty unique first names. The only difference between Tess and I is that he's been dumped by virtually every chick on the planet. And no, I'm not worried about losing because tonight, I'm gonna win. Tess isn't gonna hit me with this big boot. Instead, I'll be hearing him say, "I lost. What the hell is that all about?"
Edge is very good though. Edge is great where he guarantees that he's gonna, he'll be guaranteed a job if he wins tonight. The only difference between him and Tess is that he's been dumped loads. He makes fun of him because he's Canadian, which is funny because Edge is also Canadian. And then he even ends off with I'll give him something to worry. A boot.
A boot. Yeah. Partay.
Hey, tonight I think we should go partay. I mean, Edge comes out to Rob Zombie, so he should definitely win and be in the main event picture. Credit to Paul Heyman once again, putting over Heyman's the MVP of this whole night. Every match, he's got different history pieces to add to weights and stakes to this. He talks about how this building is the birthplace of the United States Championship. This is where this title was birthed. And tonight, it's either going to carry on its legacy or it's going to become the Intercontinental Championship. It adds a lot of stakes to this. And that's down to Heyman. It's down to no one else.
Yeah, and the match as well is, it got the second best match of the night. I think Harley's and Dudley's I thought was also a lot of fun. But this, in terms of an in-ring, no frills wrestling match, because it's not like there were loads of weapon spots and stuff, which is quite rare for this era of WWF. It was really well worked.
Yeah, I think this is the fourth year I think that WWF have been trying to make Test a main eventer and trying to push him sort of beyond his limitations. And in 2001, I would argue it's the best they got out of Test. I think they got some really, really good stuff out of him. He had a great match with Kane during this period as well on pay-per-view. But I think he's really, really solid in this match. There's some great near falls towards the end here. But they'll try again with Test the following year. They try with him every now and again. Every year, it's here's the big Test push. And it never really connects, never really clicks. But I do think that the 2001 is the best that they got out of him.
Yeah, I didn't know how long they actually went. It felt like 10, 12 minutes, which is War and Peace compared to the rest of the pay-per-view. Oh,
it's 11 minutes 17 they went.
Yeah, compared to War and Peace compared to the rest of the card so far, I should say, because the main event is 45 minutes. But it's Test working over Edge at the start. Edge has a few hope spots. There's a war on the top rope, and Edge catches a Test crossbody with a drop kick. And that sort of starts off this, you get a near 10 count spot. They get to their feet, and then they do a slugfest. Edge, Test, Edge, Test. And what struck me there was no one did yay boo.
No, that's right. They don't really, do they?
And I thought, wait a second. I just assumed yay boo was a thing, a chant forever in wrestling. But maybe that was a Cena creation because people booed Cena.
Yeah. They just hate Cena so much that they just wanted to boo him. Yeah.
So that didn't happen. But then a really good sequence of near falls. Test spears Edge because it is the Attitude Era. They will do each other's finishes. Edge kicks out. Really good near fall there. Test sets up the big boot.
Test even kicks out the pump handle slam as well, which Edge was trying to get over. Test was trying to get over as a finisher, but then you're right. Then the big boot is his new call now. That's his new big move, if you will. But yeah, I thought there was some really, really great near falls out of this. The ducking of the big boot, hitting the spear out of nowhere for a great near fall, and then eventually rolled through a reversal of the execution for the win. Was it the execution or the Edge-O-Matic? I can't remember which one was which.
Yeah, really good second half of the match. Edge becomes the undisputed US and IC champion, and Test is protected. He's made to look good in the match. He only won by a roll up. This is a good example of how to do that style of finish, as opposed to feeling cheated by a roll up and feeling like the other person got buried.
And it's not the last we're going to see of him either. The Battle Royal is coming up in a little bit. If I felt like I was a bit distracted in that match, it's because I realized I did not have my Observer or Figure 4 notes for. I had to go grab them then. Dave Meltzer would write very good match. Dave Meltzer, by the way, just wants to talk about the history of the US title because that's what Dave Meltzer does. But Dave Meltzer would write very good match, particularly all the near falls over the last few minutes, ending with Edge scoring the pin with a front rolling cradle. 3.5 stars from Dave Meltzer. And Brian Alvarez would say basic back and forth match early. Ross mentioned that Test was a former tag champion, but did not specify which belt he had, probably because he couldn't remember. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I can't remember either. Test went for the pump handle slam, but Edge turned it into the Edge-O-Matic. Does anyone realize what a stupid name that is? I'm liking all these finishes so far. Crowd went crazy for the near falls at the end. 3.25 stars.
Cool.